Good morning, welcome to Morning Review. This is Kim speaking on Tuesday, the 19th of July. Okay, so what does this hot day have in store for us in the UK here? Or anywhere where you may be sitting right now, some people obviously further afield. So looking at the euro dollar first, and actually on my weekly update that I did last night, I've sort of drawn this sort of a tighter range that I'm looking at now within the price action on the euro, and I'm now looking at this sort of 4-hourly, and to me it looks decisively that it could roll over. It's a bit bear flaggish. However, it's held up so far, and it's doing quite a good job of it. But when you come down to the 60-minute, you can see it's doing a pretty reasonable job altogether at the moment. Question is whether it can hang in there and push up some more. Already on the daily pivot at the moment, it has got a higher low, and it never really filled the gap properly yesterday, but it wasn't far off it, so we'll let that off. But at the moment, it looks like it could be running up for the R1 on this shorter time frame, the 60 minutes there. So, so it's certainly a potential for it to do that. My preference is the downside overall here. I could be a bit more aggressive and draw it across the lows here, probably too aggressive because it's already been hit once. I'll put it on to the current bar at the moment, but my preference would be for the downside overall. But it's, as I say, it's consolidated here, put the higher low in, and maybe in this intermediate time, it's got some further upside. Cable. Let's have a look from the bigger picture. Not looking pretty at the moment. Again, a bigger picture, I'm still sort of expecting some further upside. See the gap filled, possibly the monthly pivot, but it may just take too long to ever get there to do that. But I am expecting, as I say, some continuation. That said, on the shorter time frame at the moment, I'm looking at this. Well, the weekly pivot's now within really quite easy range, so a breakdown towards that and maybe through into the 50 is certainly a possibility. And again, it's got that sort of bear flag on this, okay, higher lows, higher highs on the bigger picture, and it could even come down and catch that pivot without actually breaking the prior lows there. I mean, it may be pretty similar, but if it starts breaking those lows, well, then we will have a bigger correction. But that 50 MA lines up at the daily 8, so which is curling around nicely. It's all looking quite supportive. That said, in low volume, and you can see yesterday we really had a very tight range yesterday. We could have much the same today. There's little out today to affect the UK at all. I'm just looking. It's apart from the inflation figure at 9:30, which I just overlooked, the key figure at 9:30, which will probably be one of the biggest announcements of the day affecting the market. So it'll be interesting to see how inflation has or hasn't started capturing the effects of the weaker pound on the inflation. But it's inflation out of consumer. It's not a consumer-led inflation. It's inflation for a reason, because of Brexit. So it's to be taken with a bit of a pinch of salt, effectively. Anyway, on that note, it does look a bit weak at the moment. If inflation comes out strongish, maybe we'll see a move up. But as I explained, it's not consumer-led inflation. So it'll be interesting to see how the markets adjust to it. If it does spike up quite quickly, it may only be a short-term move. Right. So looking weak, break of these lows themselves could be the trigger down for the weekly pivot. Right. Dollar yen. So it's trying again to break this 50 MA again on the dailies. It's got some potential, but there is a questioning about risk again. And if we see much more of that and this divergence that sits here on the hourlies, sort of 4 hourlies rather, it's been a bit down in the lowish in the midst there. But when you look down at the hourlies, well, it has this completely different movement. but there's divergence running into the highs here as of sorts. So to me, it looks like that could roll somewhat. Let's just come back to the bigger picture there for a moment and look at potential targets. It starts rolling. Rel 34 would be logical. It's already tested at 21. 34 it has still got a weekly pivot untouched lower down. Interesting factor is that the 4-hourly 200 is still pointing downwards at the moment. It hasn't really got any curvature in it. It's the upside, so still erring a bit negative. 60-minute point of view, well, as I said, that's looking like it could easily put a lower high in and work its way down here. In the shorter term frames, we could, in terms of today, we may not get all the way down to that weekly pivot, but there is potential for it to, as I say, start edging down towards that way. Right, Aussie dollar. Hey, minutes came out overnight, and we're seeing a reaction from those. Looking weak at the moment from what he's done there. Pushing south on, there's not a lot I can really say beyond what you can already see here. It does just look weak. Maybe on the shorter time frames here we've got some divergence. It may recover partially from this sell-off through the Asian session. Real bitty day yesterday, barely any movement. So the pivots are very, very pinched today. Already through those into that hourly 500. I'm just looking, is there anything else here that's running back here in terms of support? Weekly S1 rather seems to be the main supporting area with the daily 21 at the moment. But if the other markets start rolling off, there's possibly that euro just follows suit to the downside. Then really look for that 4-hourly 200 as a target, maybe. Right, Canadian dollar. Actually, let's have a look at the oil first. So oil's been coming off. Yesterday came back off again after a rally in the afternoon. It sold off through the Asian session, late US session, Asian session. At the moment, it's making a little recovery. So just watch out because it might be signs of things to come. Looking at what's happening with the Canadian dollar up here, then, well, it is very range bound on the dailies overall, but within a choppy sort of range. Looking at what's happening at the moment, it looks bullish in terms of it's put on a bullish 4-hourly pivot swing. A break these highs here could see it running back up again. And looking at the bigger picture there, well, the R1, yesterday's highs could be a near-term target if it continues in that vein. It does, as I say, look rather bullish on the intermediate time frames at the moment. Okay, other news out today. Overall, there's a German ZEW, or ZEW if it was in America, economic sentiment coming out at 10 o'clock. That's not really much of a mover. Got building permits at 1:30 in the US, which isn't much of a mover. And then we've got an MPC meet, a member of the Monetary Policy Committee, speaking at 3:05 in the UK due to testify on blockchain technology. Oh, okay, perhaps not a big mover there. If any movement at all, it'll be a bit of a major miracle there. Okay, and that's it really. GTT price index New Zealand at some point later when we were all finished trading. So just the major one then this morning at 9:30, the UK CPI. Right, that's it for me. Have a great one. Bye for now.